So my name's Nick Luntley and I'm one of the directors of Elizabeth Davenport Estate Agents. We've got two high street premises, obviously one in Kenilworth, one in Coventry, and a serviced office in Stratford.
The first question is, what is your first thought that comes to mind when I say the English High Street in your mind?
I think the English High Street probably represents a mix of local and probably small businesses. So when I think English High Street, I think of coffee shop, I think of probably a greengrocer's, a butcher's, and then obviously for a long time now, estate agency, which we do, has been a huge part of the high street as well. In Kenilworth, there are probably 4 or 5 high street offices, I would say.
Leaders and that.
Yeah, so I suppose it's a mixture, but the key things I associate are probably small businesses rather than some of the big national firms, although obviously they have premises as well. But I think when I think of a high street, I sort of think of, a market town like Kenilworth, individual small businesses.
James-Gibb, and my business is Hairdressing and Beauty.
Yeah, and is that that's on the high street of Kenilworth?
That's been in the high street of Kenilworth, Birmingham and Leamington. English high street, community, sort of busy sense of, it's mainly the main hub of the, I think the area. And it's always been very, very busy. It's where everybody commutes to do their shopping on a Saturday, and there's that sense of community with it. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So it's very, very busy. That's the typical English high street. Obviously, that's changed over the years because a lot of the shops aren't there anymore.
No.
So years ago, you used to get, you'd have individual shops. Now it's been brought up by a lot of the small shops are brought up by chains, so forth.
Would you say the traditional high street is dead? Just to follow up on
yes,
that?
completely.
Yes. Would you want to elaborate on that?
Well, like I've just said about you used to get, when I first started working in the hairdressing industry. Say for instance, when I first came to Kenilworth, you had individual shops. Which you'd never seen now in your lifetime. You've never seen them.
No.
Like, have you ever seen a hat shop? Well, we had a hat shop in Kenilworth. A fishmongers that sold just fish. We had one in Kenilworth. There was an indoor market. We had one in Kenilworth. There was also a huge market every Thursday that used to be in there. So it used to be family-run businesses. Then bigger companies bought out the little small, say for instance, like Johnson's, for instance. That is a dry cleaners, but they used to be they used to do key cutting and stuff like that. But there was an individual shop owned by a father and passed down to his son, and then Johnson's came in and bought them, and made chains. So the old English high street as we know it is dead. It has been dead for quite a few years.
How do you feel about that?
It's quite sad. There's lots of reasons why it's dead. More than I've explained. Price rises in rents, rates, parking, for instance. I mean, years and years ago when I first came to Kenilworth town centre on a Friday, you struggle to walk up the street. there would be so many people.
So would you say the traditional style of a high street, English high street, is dead in modern day? And what are your reasons why?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say. I would say the high street in certain areas is thriving. I just think it's changed a lot. So obviously, Amazon and lots of other e-commerce, huge online retailers have gave people options to have products delivered straight to their homes. But I think the high street is just adapted. So we've got more sort of coffee shops now, more smaller independent shops, and it's a different type of shopping experience to what I imagine it would have been 20, 30 years ago. So I would say it's far from dead. It's just changed. It's had to adapt really to e-commerce. Yeah.
Martin Turner, and I run a interior shop and retail fit-out company.
What is the first thought that comes to mind when I say English high street?
English high street is quintessential British towns mainly, and I would say shops like newsagents, butchers, fishmonger shops, and general family businesses originally.
Would you then say the traditional high street is dead?
No, I wouldn't say it's dead. I say the high street's adapted and changed through to the current climate of what we've got.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean
Do you think that's a good thing, or?
It's adapted through what high street was years ago to what it is now. A lot of businesses are now totally changed to what they were, and estate agency, charity shops, hairdressers, coffee shops. The high street's become a leisure thing to do. Years ago, you used to just go shopping. Now, the process of actually going shopping has become a pastime leisure thing. So that's how it's changed. The boom of coffee shops, for example, that's a typical example of what it used to be. Never used to have a coffee shop, and now there are lots of coffee shops because people now go shopping as a pastime.
Your opinion on the modernisation of high street? Like, obviously it has to change and adapt, and a lot of places that relied on cash and coins now switch to iZettle, which is wireless payments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what are your opinion on like its modernisation?
Yeah, well, again, a lot of events have sort of dictated, I suppose, the speed of change that shops have had to modernise to. I mean, the obvious one is with the COVID-19 pandemic, most businesses, even small businesses, have had to be able to accept card payment, and so that has definitely fast-tracked a lot of businesses into moving away from cash and going towards electric payment. But I think the biggest thing that's changed is the fact that for essential items, maybe people do their first port of call now is their smartphone and buying online, then popping into town and wandering around the shops. I think you go to the high street to look at shops almost as a recreational, something to do, rather than, you know, it would have been somewhere you had to go to get essential items before things like Amazon came along. So it's just changed. Sign that they paid the marketing.
Yeah, she is.
So yeah, I'll just leave it with you. Any questions, just let me know.
Yeah.
All right, cheers then.
Yeah. Should
Bye.
I think they kind of
So do you think this modernisation of the high street has kind of gotten rid of its charm, or do you think it was a necessary part? Or?
No, I mean, when you say modernisation, I think no. A lot of it comes down to convenience, and you have to be able to offer a convenient solution for the customer. So, for example, a company saying, "Well, no, we're not going to be able to take card payments," insisting on taking cash, in today's market will just alienate a large portion of your customers. So, no, I think the change has come out of convenience to the consumer, which is what it's all about. So I think a lot of businesses, you have to really adapt to survive, but you can survive. I mean, Kenilworth's a thriving town. A lot of the restaurants, cafes, where we are now, I mean, it's always busy. Yeah, it's definitely by no means dead, in my opinion.
Yeah, so you think Kenilworth High Street is still thriving?
Yeah, absolutely.
Expand upon the modernisation of it then, so...
Well, I think, there's no need now to go into the high street.
It lost that community feel.
Yeah, it's lost the community feel. There's no need to go into the high street. Most of the really, you wouldn't come into Kenilworth to buy any clothes. There used to be clothes shops in Kenilworth.
It's a one line.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying to you about the individual shops. There's nothing nicer than finding an individual shop that has really great shirts, or really great jackets, or really great shoes. They're gone.
They're like all the tradespeople.
Yeah, so like
and
you
the
get
butchers, the bakers.
Yes, that's it. You'd get like shoe shops. There was a chain of shoe shops called Revell years ago that were fantastic. They used to sell really nice shoes, and they were quite a large company, but they had them stuffed around little villages like this, and they're all gone now. And it all went to the big sort of like retail parks. But then the retail parks now are dying. You know what I mean? So it's gone full circle. So it'd be nice to think that it might regenerate and come back one day, hopefully.
Experience of like interior design, how would you see the high street evolving in like the next 10 years?
I can actually see it turning around, because it's like a recession, and I think the high street's taken a big hit, and COVID's made it slightly worse given to where the climates are. Landlord rents were really high pre-COVID. Landlords are now having to reduce their rents because businesses are in trouble. Therefore, I think what you'll find is rents will become cheaper, and I think you'll find more. I think you'll see a revival of more independent businesses coming back. And what I'm seeing in a lot of places where we work is the small independents are now the preferred tenant for landlords in large shopping centres and retail outlets. A few years ago it swung to the fact that they wanted the large nationals and never wanted independents. Now you are seeing so much more independence in all the large shopping centres.
Kenilworth, I suppose, specifically, is that we really enjoy having a high street premises here. When we opened our business coming up to 5 years ago now, we were adamant that if we were going to try and operate in Kenilworth, we had to have a high street office. We had a very successful business in Coventry that we could have potentially tried to work in Kenilworth from, because geographically only 4 miles apart. But the reality is, key to our strategy of developing the business was to get a high street premises, and we think that's a decision which is proved to have been correct. We get a lot of brand awareness, a lot of recognition from the signage. So no, I mean we love being part of a vibrant market town, and the high street is at the centre of that.
Yeah, it's always good to see the Elizabeth Davenport signs popping every now and then around the houses.
Thank you.
Yeah, all good. Well, thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right.